Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. And what are we reviewing this time? Scorn. Scorn is a first-person psychological horror puzzle game, I guess, if you want to put it that way, with some combat mechanics. It is developed by Ebb Software and published by Kepler Interactive. Came out on Windows and Xbox Series X and S on October 14th, 2022. It is single player. I don't know if I said that or not, but it's a single player game. It's not a very long game, pretty short game. Probably take you about 5 hours, give or take, to complete the game in its completion. But the nice thing is it is a Game Pass game. So if you have Game Pass, hey, you're out no money checking it out. But we reviewed it, and we're going to go around and see what everybody thinks of Scorn. So, Shane, how about we go to you first? What did you think of Scorn?
Man, yeah, let's start low, and then maybe we can work our way up. So, this game is not at all what I was expecting. For me, watching the trailers and the information that I saw, but I tried not to watch too much because I don't like spoiling crap. But the little that I saw that got me interested in the beginning was a first-person Silent Hill, gory, weird world that has action to it, and it's supposed to be, I wet myself during gameplay. None of that was there for me. The action is garbage, and it just is. I mean, Pat brought something up earlier. I'll let him tell you about it. But I absolutely agree what he said about the action sequences in it. The world is awesome, though. I do like the world. I love the Aliens franchises. They use a lot of H.R. Geiger artworks. That's how they design the xenomorphs in the world. And this game is like you're going through those tunnels in Aliens, Alien 2 for noobs. It felt like a mix of Alien, as far as the world, like Alien and like Dante's Inferno kind of a thing going on. Like you're supposed to be traveling different depths of hell. It's nothing about this game is scary. Nothing about this game is, I'm scared. Nothing. I was really disappointed with this game. The gameplay, as far as puzzle stuff, is fine. It can be interesting at times. The action is horrible, though. The sound is kind of bleak, blah. I mean, it's not a lot there. You zero direction, zero understanding of what's going on. I am just so disappointed in this game. It's nothing like I expected. Maybe I should have watched a little bit more on the trailers, a little bit more info, because it's nothing what I expected. And that's disappointing because I like a good horror game. I like a good action, bloody kind of a game. This game is nothing like that. It's really disappointing. And considering Microsoft's first party, gameplay or first party touting this through the last couple of years, they've been advertising. Is this Microsoft's first party studio, right?
No,
or they
this is
no. It's just one they kept promoting, during their E3s and all that crap. I don't like it at all. It's such a letdown. I mean, it really is. I really don't have anything truly nice to say about it. Even what I liked about the world, I'm not that happy with. And you definitely want to tone down your brightness as well, because when I first started up, the game seemed really washed out. But when I turned it down, it looked a lot better. Just heads up. But that's me. I don't think I can condemn this game enough. I mean, it's just not good. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not like it's broken or anything like that. It's just no fun to me. I mean, nothing about it is fun. What about you, Pat?
Well, I'm not as harsh as Shane is. I will say I don't know what is survival horror about it. I mean, I don't like horror games, scary games, and this game is not horror, not a horror, not scary, not psychological. I mean, the most psychological thing is that you're just thrown into a world with no direction, as Shane said. But that's kind of what's cool about it, because I've spent the first probably hour of the game wandering around just going, what's this button do? What's that button do? What happens if I put my hand in there? You know, all the stuff you're not supposed to do. Like you see a random hole and you're like, do I put my hand in there? Yeah, why not? You know, what's the worst going to happen, right? You know, and that was the first hour of the game. And then the combat came around. I cannot state how much I hate the combat in this game. It is the stupidest, most unnecessary thing ever. The game is great besides that, in my opinion. I think some of the puzzles are more harder than others, and some of them are, you know, pretty good amount of time just figuring out. And there's multiple ways to solve them. As in, like, one of the very first areas that you go to with the little trawling the guy trapped in rock or an egg or whatever the hell he's trapped in. You could crack him open a few different ways. So, you know, it's definitely a pretty interesting puzzle game. But then, like I said, they introduced combat, and the enemies, especially the early enemies, they're just ranged. They're all ranged is what they are. And it's like, okay, you give me this stupid little air hammer gun that is also a tool to use to solve some puzzles, to stab these creatures 4 to 5 times to kill them if you're the bigger ones, and like 2 times for the little ones, all the time while they're spitting at you. And I'm like, your mechanics is stupid, you know? And so, but you do get more, your weapon varies because it's like a modular base. So you just add on to it and new things happen. We'll let you discover that on your own. Won't spoil any of that. But you know, it's the most unnecessary part of the game, in my opinion. It would have been cool if they left it like psychological whatever without the bad guys, or maybe even a true survival horror game where you avoid them at most costs, you know. But there are parts where you really can't avoid them, like when you first discover the modular add-on to get a ranged gun. There's 3 of them in the damn room with you, and you're like, what the hell, you know? And then the most random asinine checkpoints, like they don't make any sense. Like I've died someplace and it started me all the way back at the beginning. And then I've died in other places and it's like, all right, it spawned me right next to where I just died. So the checkpoint system seems to be just whatever the hell they feel like it, you know? The last time you touch something, that's where it's decided. That's where I'm going to respawn you. So, you know, so I think overall it's a good game. It's not a $40 game, in my opinion, because the combat, in my opinion, really ruins this game. It was like, let's throw 27 ideas at this game, and let's throw in 28 and make it combat, because that's how combat felt in this game. It was just it was just tacked on, not well thought out, and it's just dumb. I mean, they're either spitting at you or they're just a big bullet sponge that moves slowly. And you're just like, all right, so I don't want to get next to this thing because he's going to hit me and he's going to hurt me. So I got to waste all my ammo on this thing at a range to try to kill it, or run around in circles and just avoid it, you know, if I can, which you can in some cases. But that's my opinion. I really enjoyed the puzzle aspect of the game, but the combat just got to me over time. It's like, and it's like, not because it's difficult, but because it's stupid. It is just plain stupid and asinine. It was a waste of time to put that in the game, but that's my opinion. Nick, what did you think overall of this game?
Overall, like, the world is beautifully disgusting, right? It is the way that they crafted the world and everything looks so awesome. I think the world building, like the different textures and environmental things are really cool. Right. I like how the game looks. I like how everything was designed. It looks like they put a lot of passion and work in the design of the terrain and the various objects and stuff that you interact with. I think they also put a ton of, you know, work into the puzzles. The puzzles make sense, right? And like these guys said, the game gives you no direction, but you go around, you start pressing buttons, and in your mind, you start figuring out how everything that you're pressing connects to everything else. And that's a really good puzzle that's really good for creating a puzzle, right? Where it's not so easy that the user can figure it out without even doing anything, and it's not so difficult that the user like gives up beforehand, right? Once you start pressing buttons and you see how things move, you're like, okay, now I understand how X, Y, and Z all connect. I get that. How do I get it started? I haven't figured that part out yet, but I understand where I need to go, what steps I need to take, which is really good puzzle solving work from the developers. That's a really good idea. When you're going to make a puzzle game, you got to make it work, and you don't want to make it so easy that people lose interest and just fly through your game. They don't want to make it so hard that, again, people lose interest and just stop playing your game altogether, right? So I think they did really good there. But I will agree with these guys in that the combat, it feels like an afterthought. The combat's just bad in this game. The weapons they give you are fine, but the way that your guy, and I think maybe one of the reasons why combat is bad is the way that they give the way that your person works, the guy you're playing works, is we're kind of used to how most FPS games work, in the sense of when you go to aim a gun or shoot a gun, it's a very quick action. Where in this guy, it's a very slow, methodical, just kind of raising the gun, shooting the trigger. It's not, you can't just pump. And then when if you get other weapons that do fire things, you can't just pump them out. It's almost like just a shot and then a pause and the shot and then a pause. And you're like, come on, I'm trying to take this thing down, as it's just, spitting at you or ranging at you, like these guys have said. And that's kind of that's the biggest negative for this game. I think take the combat out and this game would be, 2 thumbs up. Great atmosphere, great puzzles, walking sim. For sure. I mean, the environments, that's fine. The environments are cool. The puzzles are cool. I'm down with that. Take the combat out of it, and we got ourselves a gold star in there. But with the combat in it, that's where it gets its negatives, right? I think that's the biggest negative point to it. The game, like I said, is not very long. The combat section, the biggest combat section is during Act 3, I want to say. It's like between 2 and 3, somewhere around there. And that's your biggest combat section. And then at towards the end of the game, which I completed the game. It's not like I said, it's not a very hard game. And toward the end of the game, you do have like a boss battle. And that's also where it flubs. I think if these guys gotten to the point of the boss battle, they would probably throw in the controller at the TV at that point. Because the boss battle, again, like the game, doesn't explain how to fight the boss. So you die to the boss several times, and it starts you over at the beginning of the boss encounter, and the boss has 2 phases. So if you can imagine, you're basically trying to figure out how do you fight this thing, because you can't, it's not, unlike the puzzle, it's not really aware until the boss, beats your face in 3 or 4 times that you go, aha. That's how you do it, right? For phase 1. Then phase 2 comes around. You're like, okay, now how do I do this? So that was probably the biggest frustrating part for me in the game. But other than that, the game is good. Other than that, like take that part out, take the combat completely out of the game, and this game is good. And I would agree with Pat. I don't think it's a $40 game either. If you have Game Pass, you're not losing out. Go check it out. But this game shouldn't have came out at $40, especially. It's a one and done type of game, because you can basically get all the achievements through the first playthrough. One achievement, you have to do something different to get that achievement, but it's at the very beginning of the game, and you can easily go back and grab the other achievement for that. So once you're done playing this, this game gives you no reason to replay it again. There's just no reason. I mean, you already know the puzzles. You've already seen all that you can see and experience all you can experience. So it's kind of a one and doneer. So I think they should have came out with a cheaper price with it, but that's just me on that. But I know online this game's getting a lot of controversy, and I think for the same thing. It's got a lot of mixed reviews, and I think people are coming up with the same assessment we all are, where some people are saying, this game's great with combat or whatever, they're giving it the benefit of the doubt type of thing. And some people are kind of in our wheelhouse where they're saying this game is great. If the combat just wasn't there, that's the downfall.
Yeah. I mean, you're used to, like, in a game that wants you to have difficult combat or something, you're used to having more abilities to avoid the damage, right? the really only ability in this game to avoid damage is to run away, and hopefully it doesn't spit on you while you're running away, because you don't have a dodge, you don't have a block. It's just, especially once you have the pneumatic hammer thing, it's pretty much just get in close while it's trying to spit at you, pump that pneumatic hammer in its face to interrupt its spitting. Then you wait, do it again, and hopefully it recharges its air pressure before it does it again, because it takes like 4 of those pneumatic hits to kill those things in the beginning. I'm not talking about the little chicken ones. I'm talking about the weird looking pea pod looking one, and you got to hit them like 4 times in the head to kill them. And if you don't hit them in the head, then you got to hit them in the body like 5 times, and you only get like 2 pumps with the air pneumatic drill thing before it got to wait till it builds pressure back up. And you're just like, okay, this is so stupid. So I'm going to hit it, and then I'm going to hit again, and then I'm going to run away from it, because typically it's not recharged by the time he's ready to spit at you again. So there's no dodge, there's no block, there's no nothing like that. And that's my biggest complaint, is that you have this combat, but there's no way to avoid this damage. Especially like the big lumbering idiot beast, that's like the 3rd enemy type you run into, I believe it is. You can't get in close to that thing because it's just going to run you over. It's just going to bulldoze you. So you have to range it. And you're like, all right, so I'm going to waste all my ranged ammunition, which is limited to begin with. Just like the health pods, the health that you put on your tick. You get a little tick and he holds all your ammo and all your health. And it's just stupid. So that combat, yeah. Without the combat, this would be a great game. It'd be a great exploration with like has a little bit of a creepy factor to it, because it does remind you of walking through the world of Prometheus or Aliens, the Aliens place. It looks like that. I mean, hell, half the time in one map where you're inserting the eggs into the giant pyre in the middle, I'm like, is something going to jump out and grab me in the face? Is this face hugger egg right here? That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, these things are freezing. These little robots are freezing these things. Is one of them going to unthaw and jump out and get me? That type of stuff. But, I don't know. The combat really, really ruined this game for me, because it was on a great path. It was on a great path until you run into like that first enemy and you're like, he just hurt me pretty good. And it took me 4 jabs with this thing to kill him. What am I going to, hopefully there's not much more of this, and oh boy, you're in for a treat, because there's a lot more.
Yeah. Combat is definitely the weakest link. It's just, it's non-existent, really. It's just luck. I mean, you got to get in and get out, but it's hard to do when if things have that range you're talking about. It's just, you're trying to run away and you take a loogie to the back of the head that, knocks a quarter of your health off. So there's so many things I want to like about this game, but I just can't. The world is the only good thing about it. The puzzles are fine. I don't enjoy them as much as you guys, but there's nothing wrong with them. I think, like Nick said, they are thought out and they're well done to a point, but I don't think there's anything spectacular about them. The very first area probably had the best puzzle portion to it. Like, Pat was kind of alluding at, you crack the egg. To me, that whole area there was my favorite part of any of the levels that I played. I don't know. Maybe I was hoping for more. Maybe because the game we were playing right before this was such a letdown. I had some hope for the next one, but it wasn't. So
yeah. Like I said, this, if you're thinking about possibly picking this game up or whatever, if you have, I would suggest, if you have Game Pass, just try it out on there. If you don't have Game Pass, subscribe for a month and try it out. Right. That would be the easiest thing to do. And if you find you really like it and you want to support these developers, then by all means you can go out there and buy it. I wouldn't spend the $40 for it. I'd wait till at least it's $20. I say $20 will give you a good time with it, especially if you can just forgo the combat portion.
Yeah, it's not very long, right? Nick, you beat it.
No,
How
it's
much
like
time
5 hours. Like 5 hours. Yeah. So
I'd say $10 is a good price. $2 an hour.
He's bargain binning it. I really hope though that for if Ebb Software, the developers of this game, if they decide to make a Scorn 2 or something very similar, I hope they either I really hope that if they make a Scorn 2 or some sort of sequel kind of like this, where they've made this really cool world with puzzles and stuff, I hope they just make it a walking sim where you get to experience the environments and various things like that, and just take the combat part out, because the combat does seem, and we've said this before, it just seemed like an afterthought. It seems like they really worked on the world and the puzzles and how everything works together, and then just figured they wanted to be a little bit different and throw in some combat aspects to kind of give it some something more than just being a walking simulator, right? Which unfortunately for the game, it kind of it takes points off for it, quite a few, because you have that middle section of the game where there's quite a bit of combat, and it can be very difficult for people to get through. I mean, I died several times going through there just from getting hit or missing with the jackhammer. I've done that several times. I go to hit him and I swing over and shoot, and that's my second shot. And now I got to wait, and I'm like, what do I do? And I'm getting shot in the back, like Shane said, by loogies getting spit at me, and then I kill over dead, and I'm like, son of a. And you can possibly, because of the checkpoint system, you can also put yourself in a predicament as well. You can put yourself where you have no health pods, you have low health, and you have no bullets, and you have an enemy. So, and it'll spawn you pretty much right before that encounter. So you're like, or right at that encounter or whatever. And you're like, whoa, what do I do here? I ran into that myself, but fortunately I was able just to, zigzag around the enemy and make it to an elevator on the other side and go back up where there was ammo and health. So I was okay in that point. But there's several times where you die and you might put yourself in a pickle, where you have to pretty much load the map over again. But, I think overall with like I said, the puzzles and the level design and just how things look aesthetically, they did a really great job with that stuff. It's just the combat that put it down. So, take it what you will. Do you guys got anything else you want to say about this game before we wrap this up?
Needed Sigourney Weaver.
It needed Sigourney
Pretty
Weaver.
but flawed combat game.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a beautiful looking game, though. Graphically, man, it's really nice graphics. Got some really cool environments and stuff like that. But that's it for this review, guys. Let us know down in the comments. Have you checked this game out or thinking about checking this game out? Let us know what you think of Scorn on your own, if you've played it or anything like that. Let us know what your thoughts are on Scorn. Or even some other walking simulators. There's a lot of them around there that are really good, that do a really good job of this, that Scorn could have done, like something like Soma or, Amnesia or something like that, where there is no combat, but you're kind of like what Pat was saying, where you're just trying to avoid the enemies instead of having combat. They've done it before, and those games have really come out to be really fun games that people enjoy. So they could have done the same thing with Scorn, but they wanted to add combat for some reason. So let us know down in the comments below. But also make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. You can just do it right now. Just click that subscribe button while we're talking. Also hit the bell notification to stay up to do videos that we do all the time. And other than that, we'll see you next time.
See ya.